Halloween 2018 is directed by David Gordon Green and stars Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. Laurie Strode confronts her longtime foe Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. I remember vividly when this movie was first announced, and there were so many ideas going about what this movie could be. There was the Halloween Returns, there was a Halloween 3D by Rob Zombie, and then Danny McBride, Jeff Radley, and David Gordon Green came about as writers, and David Gordon Green was announced to direct the film. And Jamie Lee Curtis then announced that she was going to return as Laurie Strode in this new Halloween movie. And they were going to go back to the basics. They were going to erase everything except the original movie. So everything from Halloween 2 to Halloween Resurrection never existed. All of it is wiped clean from canon. And now we're starting from the first movie. And I saw a lot of set photos. We saw the new look of Michael Myers and this older looking mask. We're going back to the old town of Haddonfield in the modern day. And we're following Laurie Strode as an older lady dealing with the trauma of these events. And I think the film does a really good job at exploring what Laurie Strode's life was like after the events of the original Halloween. How this paranoia seeped into her all throughout her entire life. And while I do think it was a bit overly excessive, as it takes the Sarah Connor approach to where she is preparing with a bunch of guns. Her house is an entire booby trap for Michael Myers, and she's preparing 4 decades for Michael Myers to come back. But I would say that my biggest problem of this film is having that be like extremely believable. Like her paranoia and her fear of Michael Myers and her being overprotective of her family, I bought into. But the gun nut over preparation for this one night after all these years is a bit hard to believe. But then again, she witnessed a man survive multiple bullet wounds and stabs to the neck and to the eye, and walking about like everything is fine. And thankfully, the next film explored what happened after that night, so we do have a bit of context of what that happens now. But out of this film, it was a little bit hard to like buy into just the cops capturing Michael Myers in the middle of the night. Just thankfully, another film explained that and made that plot point a bit better in this movie. So it's not that big of an issue for me anymore. But as it still stands, Laurie Strode being this overbearing as a gun nut prepper survivor of Michael Myers was a bit excessive, if you ask me. I just felt like they could have toned it down a bit. I felt like Halloween H2O handled this aspect of Laurie Strode's character a bit better. But everything else about the film worked extremely well. From the cinematography to the directing to the performances and to the horror of the film. This felt like something John Carpenter would have directed back in the 1980s. Which, speaking of John Carpenter, he came back to score the film along with his 2 sons. And he knocked it out of the park with this new Halloween soundtrack. I put this right next to the original Halloween soundtrack as one of my favorite horror soundtracks to listen to. So many themes, from prison montage to Allison's escape. It just so many tracks in this, whether it's like new tracks or repurposed tracks from the original brought back here. Everything felt so fresh and so nostalgic, and the overall score brings a sense of haunt and horror back into the Halloween series that has been so long lost since those original 4 movies. And as I said before, the cinematography and production of the film was fantastic. This is probably the best looking Halloween film I have seen in this entire franchise since the original. From the way Haddonfield is presented as this normal, quiet town with the everyday folk looking out for each other, trick-or-treating, having fun, having like normal people problems, and having all that just be stripped away by Michael Myers was something that this entire franchise lost. This film understood Michael Myers pretty well and understood what made him really scary. We don't know his exact motivation. We don't know what his overall goal is. We just know that he is a figure that's willing to kill whoever gets in his way on Halloween night, and we have to deal with his actions that he has brought upon to this town. And seeing Laurie Strode fight against him and doing whatever she can to try and protect the town of Haddonfield was really cool to see. I also like the addition of Laurie Strode having a granddaughter that seems to care more for her grandmother than Laurie Strode's actual daughter, who shunned her out of her life, understandably so, but she almost wants nothing to do with her mother anymore. And I think the way this relationship builds as the story goes on, and Michael Myers starts haunting the people of Haddonfield more and more, and gets closer to Laurie Strode and her family, I think that tension and the way it's all built up was done very well, because the film did a good job establishing the broken relationship Laurie Strode has with her family. All that she really has right now in her life is her granddaughter, who does try to be there for her whenever she can. She still has a bit of caution around her and wants her to let go of the past and try to move forward, which for Laurie Strode, after witnessing a man who seemed to be almost immortal, it is very hard to let go, knowing that someone like that is out there who seems otherworldly. How could she let that go of her mind? So that friction between this family and how it's established in the beginning was done very well. In fact, I think fixed a problem that I had with the Rob Zombie movies, in that the family aspect just felt like it was very trashy, and you did not care about this family that Michael Myers was involved with. I felt like the family that we focus on in this new iteration of the Halloween series was done a lot better. They felt like they cared about each other. They joked around with each other quite a bit. And I'll say this as another problem that I had with the film. While some of the jokes do work, there are just some jokes written by one of the writers. I forgot his name. I keep forgetting his name, but he doesn't really do a good job with some of the other jokes later on in the film, and it cuts the tension way too much. If they dialed back on the humor a bit, I felt like the horror of the movie could have been a lot better. As it stands, the horror and the suspense and thrills of the film were really well done. The overall building up to the Michael Myers jump scare and him slashing at his next victim was done very well. There's this entire 2-minute or so one take sequence where Michael Myers is just walking house to house killing his next victim, and it is thrilling to watch. One of my favorite shots in the entire Halloween series, from the way it's directed, from the way the sets are done, how everything's presented. It's just such a beautiful sequence of Michael Myers just doing what he does best. And the overall climax of the film, when everything comes to a head, was again extremely well done. We already built up all the characters and their flaws and what they've been through. Everything has come to a head here, and the film just had such a cathartic closure for Laurie Strode's character, as she was able to defeat the monsters that's been haunting her all of her life, and her daughters, now in this situation, now believing Laurie Strode, and are willing to atone for them not believing in her and being there for her at this moment to defeat this monster, I thought was very well done. Though this also leads to another problem that I have with the film. There's this doctor character that we discover let Michael Myers loose just to figure out how he works, and I think the film could have done well without him. I felt like he was very underutilized, a bit too hammy. The overall twist takes away a bit of the thrill and evil from Michael Myers. I felt like if Michael Myers just found a way to escape on his own, the film could have had a bit more suspense and thrills to it. Other than that, while I do have a few nitpicks and flaws here and there, this was a welcome return to form for the Halloween series. It brought the franchise back to its original roots. It was simpler again, despite having a few instances of overriding here and there for some characters and trying to discover what could his motivation be. At the end of the day, I like how the film does not really give a concrete answer as to what his motivation is. It's still left ambiguous, it's still left a mystery, and overall Michael Myers just came back and is once again scary in the franchise. And the characters are well done, it's very well directed, the story was engaging again. This, in my opinion, is the best Halloween sequel since the original, and I'm gonna give Halloween 2018 an A-. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and happy Halloween.